Okay, good morning everyone. We are recording now. So let's start with the question that we had ended with. Which elements of the edge space of a graph meet each cycle of the graph in an even number of edges? Okay, so that was the one of the try it yourself exercises, and we noted that this question is relevant to understanding what could be the orthogonal complement of the cycle space of a graph, right? But this is a purely graph theoretical question. We are just asking for all the sets of edges that meet cycles in an even number of edges, right? So we want the intersection to be even with every cycle. Okay, so that brings us to, some of you may have already figured out, so that's good. Let's discuss a concept that is going to be very important in this course called cuts of a graph, also known as edge cuts of a graph. Generally, if I say cut, I mean edge cut. There is also a concept, as you can imagine, called vertex cut, right? But generally, cuts refer to edge cuts. So, I want you to think of the following. Supposing you have a graph G and you partition the vertices into two sets, the left set and the right set. Okay? So I'll call the left set S, and the right set is the complement of S, which is all the vertices minus S. Okay? So what we have taken is a partition of the vertex set. In fact, a bipartition of the vertex set. It's just two parts, right? S and S bar. And now you consider all the edges of the graph that have one end in S and the other end in S bar. The graph may have many or no such edges, I don't know. So this is denoted as partial S. Partial S is the set of all edges that have one end in S and other end in S bar, which is the complement of S. Okay? This set of edges is referred to as the cut associated with S. Okay? And any such set of edges, any edge set C, such that C is equal to partial S for some S subset of the vertices, is called uh, a cut of the graph G. Is the definition clear? Right? So I like to emphasize that the edge
Yeah,
set, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So, sir, here by cut we mean edge cut, right?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I would like to emphasize that a cut of a graph is a set of edges that arises from a bipartition of the vertex set. Okay. So you need a bipartition of the vertex set, and then you look at all the edges going between those two parts. Okay. Good. Also, I want you to make the simple observation that for any set S of the vertex set, partial S and partial S bar are related. Can anyone tell me how are they related?
They are exactly same.
They are exactly the same, right? That's the relation. Okay, that's by definition. So it's a symmetric definition with respect to the vertex set. Okay, good. Um, Great. I want to give you two simple do-it-yourself exercises in order to improve your understanding of cuts of a graph. So one, a graph G is bipartite if and only if I want to make a statement about the cuts of the graph. Can anybody help me? So on the right hand side, I want to write down some statement regarding the cuts of the graph.
Sir, I think it will be if and only if the set of all edges of G is itself an edge cut.
Right, that's correct. So if and only if the set of all edges of the graph is a cut of the graph G. That's correct. So please prove this. And the second one I want you to think about is a graph G is connected if and only if I want to make some statement again on the right hand side pertaining to the cuts of the graph. And this time I want somebody else to answer. So I want to say, make some statement about a graph being connected in terms of the cuts of the graph. And I would like someone else to try to answer this one. Yashri, Ganesh?
So every non-empty cut will have sorry every
Yeah, you are in
every
the right
set
direction.
of the vertex. Okay, let me rephrase it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think he means that the set of non-empty edges is not a good.
Okay, you both are going in the right direction. I want somebody to formalize it correctly. So keep thinking in the same direction.
Sir, I think it will be
Every
graph this
cut.
man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only
Every cut
because
of a
Krishna?
graph.
Sorry,
Every cut
Ganesh?
of a graph
Yeah,
will
yeah.
have a non-empty set of edges.
Yeah, can you repeat the first part? Every?
Every cut of the graph will have a it's a non-empty set of.
Every cut of the graph is non-empty. That is almost correct. You just need to be careful. So basically, the only cuts that can be empty are corresponding to the empty set of vertices or the whole set of vertices. So for any set of vertices that is not the empty set, so for all non-empty proper subsets S of the vertex set of a graph, you want the cut corresponding to that set to not be the empty set. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? What is this saying? Just to make it clear, to give you a visualization, it's saying that whenever you take a bipartition of the vertex set, so that this left side is at least one vertex and the right side is at least one vertex, then the cut corresponding to that set cannot be empty. In other words, there has to be at least one edge in this cut. Right? So that is the visual interpretation of the right hand side. Okay? And once you see the visual interpretation, you kind of see how to prove it. Okay, so I'll leave that as a do-it-yourself exercise. Okay. So I don't expect you to do it right now, but you can do it after the lecture. Okay, so why are we talking about cuts? Well, to answer our question, what are the elements of the edge space that meet each cycle in an even number of edges? And it turns out that the answer is the cuts of the graph. Okay? So let's try to prove that. So our next goal, yeah. Our goal is, let's make a claim. If you look at any cut of the graph, it will meet each cycle in an even number of edges. Okay, and what do I mean by meet again? I mean the intersection of the cut with the cycle is an even number of edges. Okay, so how do we prove this? Let's take a cut of the graph, and let's say we are looking at any cycle. So partial S is our cut and C is our, let me use a different notation. Let me call C equal to partial S as our cut and Q as our cycle. Okay. So how would we prove this? Our goal is to prove that C intersection Q is even. Any thoughts on how we prove this statement?
This is just intuition, but that's not. I don't have
Yeah.
proof here.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Intuition is good.
Intuition is any cycle. It must let's say it starts on S or S bar. Like let's say it starts on S.
Uh-huh.
If it's not going to S bar at all, then it's not going to intersect with any of the edges.
Right, right. Okay, that's the one case. So one case is it's completely contained in S or it's completely contained in S bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it goes to S bar, it has to go using an edge.
Right. Okay.
And since it starts in S, it definitely has to come back. So it has to come back using another edge.
Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't gone beyond this. Yeah. This is
Okay. Well, let's keep going. So it comes back. Now what can happen? It can connect back with that vertex and that could complete a cycle. But
Yeah.
maybe it does not connect. Maybe it
Yeah,
goes back to the other side.
Maybe it goes back. Yeah.
Now
Now it has to come back.
it has to come back. Right?
Yeah.
So every time you go to the other side, you have to come
You have
back
to
to the first side.
First side. Yeah.
Right? That exactly is the proof. Okay, so you have to, so what you, I'm not going to write down a formal proof. I'm going to leave it to yourself, to all of you as an exercise, but I'm going to give you the intuition. So you have a cycle Q, and I'm going to say the proof verbally. I just want you to do the writing on your own. So this is your cycle Q. Okay, for a cycle, you can take a direction of traversal. Okay, so you start from some vertex, your favorite vertex, call it V0. And you traverse the cycle in that direction, V0, V1, V2, blah, 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 all the way up to Vk, and then you come back to V0, right? So we are setting one direction as our direction of traversal. Let's call it the clockwise direction, right? And we can assume without loss of generality that the first vertex in our traversal is on the left side, okay? And that means that the last vertex, which is V0 itself on a cycle, is also on the left side. So you have to come back to the left side. Now, if you ever use an edge in the cut, then you will switch directions. You will go from the left side to the right side. And again, if you use an edge of the cut, you will come from the right side to the left side. Okay? So that means if you want to come back to the left side eventually, you have to use an even number of these edges. Right? Because each time you use the edge from the cut, you switch the sides. And the only way to come back to the first side is by using an even number of edges. Right? So that is a complete proof. I'm not going to write down in words. I will leave that to you as an exercise. Okay? So,
Sir,
yeah, go ahead.
so here meets this particular word meets, right?
Yes.
So it's actually including that age in the cycle, is it so?
Right. So meets just means that the intersection of the cut and the cycle, right? So C is our cut and Q is our cycle,
Yeah.
and meets just means that the intersection is an even number of edges. Remember, in this part of the course, we are viewing cycles as just edge sets. We are not worrying about the vertex sets, right? So a cycle is just a set of edges, and a cut is also a set of edges, and we are trying to show that their intersection is an even number of edges. So that is what the term meets means,
Okay.
right? Right, so if this is your cycle Q and you have some cut in the graph that looks like this, I want you to show that the number of edges of Q that are in the cut is exactly an even number. Okay? Does that clarify your doubt?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So what I want you all to do is I want you all to write down a rigorous proof that I essentially said in words, but I'm not going to write it down here. Okay. Are there any questions or concerns why this statement is true? Or is everybody convinced by the arguments we did that this is true? Okay, good. So let's write down a proposition. This is proposition 2.18 in Bondi-Murthy. In any graph,
Sir, I have a question.
yes, go ahead.
So we know that every cut intersects a cycle, any cycle in even number of edges. But
Good.
what is the guarantee that these are the only edge sets?
That's right. That's right. The fact that these are the only such edge sets is something you might be proving on your assignment. But it will be completely graph theoretical.
Other than the edge cuts, which meets every cycle in an even number of edges.
Right. So there are no other such sets. Every edge set that meets the cycles in an even number of edges has to be a cut of the graph.
Cut of the graph. Okay. So
Yeah.
from that result, what will be in assignment? We can say that then the orthogonal complement of the cycles will consist of exactly of the edge cuts.
Exactly. So you are right. We haven't yet proved that the two spaces are, well, first of all, we have not even shown that the cuts form a space, but we will show that next. But supposing the cuts form a space, subspace, we don't yet know that these are orthogonal complements of each other, right? So that you will be completing on your assignment 1.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Right, so we have only shown one direction, that every cycle meets every cut in an even number of edges. But the fact that these are the only such edge sets, that is something that you still need to show for the orthogonal complement. But now there is some good news. So this is basically the claim we proved above. Right, it's the same statement. But now this implies something else that I think Adanya had observed yesterday, which is that if this is true for the cycles, then this is also true for all the even subgraphs. Can somebody tell me why this is true? Not Adanya? So I claim that each even subgraph of a graph meets each cut in an even number of edges.
Even graphs
Yeah.
are cycle one cover, so you can take each cover separately and you can
Yeah, even subgraphs are, what did you say? Even subgraphs are?
cycle cycle one cover. So
Well,
uh,
okay, right. It has a cycle 1 cover, so it's a disjoint union of cycles.
so for each cycle it intersects even number of times, and sum of even numbers is always
Right, exactly. Right, we know that any even subgraph is a disjoint union of cycles of the graph. That was theorem 2.17. So if you combine this, if you combine statement 1 and theorem 2.17, then you prove statement 2. That not only is it true for cycles, it's actually true for every even subgraph of the graph. Right? Because an even subgraph is just a disjoint union of cycles. So it looks something like this. right, is just a bunch of cycles. For each cycle, you know that the intersection with the cut is an even number of edges. So it could be something like this. Maybe this cycle, the intersection is 0. So it could be 2, 2, and maybe 0 for this cycle. Right? I have made a drawing which is easy to visualize. Right? So if it's going to intersect every cycle in an even number of edges, then if you take the union of those even sets, you will get an even set. Right? Okay? Good. So are there any questions or concerns pertaining to this point? If so, please go ahead and ask them. Okay, great. If not, so what we have not shown yet is we have not shown that the cuts of the graph, they form a subspace. Remember, in the case of cycles, we showed that the symmetric difference of any number of cycles or any number of even subgraphs, sorry, is an even subgraph, right? But we have not yet shown that for cuts. Okay, so our next goal is to show that the cuts of a graph, they form a subspace of the edge space of the graph, right? Just to remind you, earlier we had shown the same statement for even subgraphs of a graph. Okay. So what does it mean to show that they form a subspace? Well, we have already gone through this before. For that, we need two things. One, we need to check that the empty set is in the set of cuts. So the empty set of edges is a cut of the graph. Why? Because you take S to be the empty set, and now partial of S is exactly the empty set. Okay.
But sir, in the definition you just took S to be a non-empty proper subset. Then how can you take S to be empty?
Oh, I see. Did I say that in the definition?
Yeah, you said exactly that S must be a non-empty proper subset.
No, that was
I think-
that was only here. That was only here in this statement. Right? The definition of a cut does not require S to be non-empty. So S is just a subset of the vertex set. Okay? We required the non-empty proper subset only for this do-it-yourself exercise.
Okay. For the definition, S can be any set. So I
Exactly.
can take S to be empty.
Exactly. Right? So if you
Otherwise,
take
I
S to
cannot
be
take
empty, yeah, that's right. Exactly. So the reason you need to allow that is to make the mathematics nice.
Very nice. Otherwise, you can.
Right. Also, it's also true for the vertex set of the graph, right? It could be either empty set or the whole vertex set. And then again, the cut will be empty. Okay? So the empty vector, the zero vector is in our subspace. The empty set is in our collection of sets. What is the next thing we need to show?
Having two cuts, we have to show that there exists some vertex set subset S such that the cut of S is exactly the symmetric difference of those.
Right, right. So we want to show that the symmetric difference of any two cuts is another cut. Right? This is generally called the closure property. Okay, we had shown this for even subgraphs also, as you might recall. The symmetric difference of any two even subgraphs is another even subgraph. Okay, so how shall we show this? Um, okay, let's take two cuts of the graph. Let's say G is our graph, and let's say X and Y are our vertex subsets, and our cuts are partial X and partial Y. Okay?
So I think the symmetric difference will be equal to the cut of the graph, which is formed by the subset of vertices X union Y.
I see. So
Yeah, I
let's,
think it is not
yeah.
X union Y, it is X delta Y, X symmetric difference Y.
Okay, let's think about it. So, what is a good way to think about it? So, this is actually, okay. So, how do we think about two cuts, right? Thinking about two even subgraphs was much easier. You look at a vertex and you argue about the degree of that vertex, and things are much easier there. Things are easy here as well. The only problem is we don't have a very good way to visualize cuts. But actually we do. We do have a way of visualizing cuts. Let's go back to our first drawing. I want you to look at this drawing. This is a way to visualize the cuts. You take a partition, or to be very specific, a bipartition of the vertex set. Okay? So we are going to do that here, but we have two different bipartitions. So we are going to make a more general drawing, which takes care of two cuts at a time. And here is the way to think about it. Actually, this reminds me of an interesting story, because when I learned about cuts, my advisor would always use this drawing, and I couldn't understand why he was so obsessed with this drawing until I eventually realized the power of this drawing. So hopefully I will be able to convince you why this drawing is very powerful. So this is one cut. Let's call it our partial X cut. And our second cut is the green cut. Okay? And I can draw it like this. Why not? If you take two bipartitions of a set, you will get four quadrants. Okay? Let me tell you what the quadrants are. So how do you want to think about this drawing? Think of this as, this is your X, this is your X bar. Okay? I'm writing it 2 times just so that it's easier to keep track of. And this top part is your Y, and the bottom part is your Y bar. Okay? So what do the 4 quadrants represent? The 4 quadrants represent all the possible intersections. This is X intersection Y. This is X bar intersection Y. This is X bar intersection Y bar. And this is X intersection Y bar. Okay? Does everybody agree that these are the 4 possible intersections between these two sets?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in order to prove this statement, so what's our statement? We are going to show that the symmetric difference of these two cuts, partial X, symmetric difference, partial Y, is another cut of the graph G. So what does that mean? We want to show that this set is the partial of some other set. Okay? And we need to figure out what this question mark is. Is everybody with me at this point? Are there any questions or concerns about the diagram? Is everybody clear with what this diagram is representing? Okay. So now let's look at all the edges. So rather than looking at the symmetric difference, I want you to first think about partial X union partial Y. Think about this first. Okay? So we are looking at all the edges that either cross the red line or they cross the green line. Okay? Because to belong to the first cut, red cut, your edge has to have one end on the left side and the other end on the right side, which means your edge has to look like this, or it has to look like this, or it has to look like this, or it has to look like this. These are the 4 possible edges in partial x. There are 4 possible edges in partial y. Edges that look like this, edges that look like this, and once again you have these kinds of edges and these kinds of edges. Okay? So each edge in partial x,
In total, there are 6 kinds of edges, right?
exactly, there are 6 kinds of edges. Each edge in partial x union partial y either crosses the red line or the green line in this drawing. Okay? We are looking at all 6 possibilities in this drawing. This is the union of these cuts. But what we are really interested is in the symmetric difference of these cuts. So what happens in the symmetric difference? Can somebody tell me which of these 6 types of edges will survive in the symmetric difference? Let me call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 4 will
Exactly. 1, 2, 3, and 4 will survive, and 5 and 6 will die out because they are in both the red cut and the green cut. Right? So if it's in both of them, it means it is in the intersection, so it will not be in the symmetric difference. Right? Just to remind you all, symmetric difference of 2 sets is this stuff. So the intersection gets cancelled out. Right? So the only edges in partial x, symmetric difference partial y, are the edges of type 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? I am saving my writing time here. In a formal rigorous proof, I would write down what these edges are like. Right? So I would say type 1 is one end in x intersection y and other end in x intersection y bar. Right? But here I am saving some time by just using the drawing. Okay? So we have 6 types of edges, only 4 of them survive in the symmetric difference. So now I want you all to think about what is this question mark? I want you all to look at this drawing and I want you all to think about, if you look at all the edges going, if you look at all the edges of the graph that are of type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4, then do these edges correspond to a cut of the graph? And if they do, then what is the corresponding vertex set? If it is partial of z, what is z?
It's actually x symmetric difference y.
Exactly. Observe that these 4 edges, these 4 types of edges, they have one end in x intersection y bar and the other end, x intersection y bar union x bar intersection y. So the one end is in this bottom left or the top right corner, and the other end is in the top left or the bottom right corner. These are all the edges that go from bottom left union top right to top left union bottom right. Okay? These are all of the edges of G that go from x intersection y bar union x bar intersection y to x intersection y union x bar intersection y bar. And that means that one end is in this set and this set is exactly the symmetric difference of x and y. Note that Z is x intersection y bar union x bar intersection y, and that is x symmetric difference y. Okay, so what's the proof? We look at the two cuts, we look at this drawing in order to understand what are all the 6 possibilities. Notice that the drawing is not necessary for the proof. You can very well omit the drawing and write down everything in words. Okay, the drawing is only to help the reader here. So you have these 6 possibilities of edges that you can explain when you intersect 2 bipartitions of a graph vertex set. So you look at all the 6 types of edges and you observe that 4 of these edges survive. 4 types of these edges survive. And these 4 types of edges exactly correspond to partial of Z, where Z is a symmetric difference of the vertex sets X and Y. Okay, so again, do it yourself. Complete the rigorous proof that I said in words. I want you to write it. Write the rigorous proof in words. Well, by words, I don't mean you cannot have a figure along with the diagram. Okay? All right. So that brings us to proposition 2.11, which is that for any graph G, X and Y vertex sets, the symmetric difference of these 2 cuts happens to be exactly the cut corresponding to the symmetric difference of these 2 sets, right? We just proved that. And the corollary 2.12 that follows is that the symmetric difference of any 2 cuts is a cut. Okay, and what this means is that the cuts of a graph form a subspace of the edge space of the graph, just like the even subgraphs. Okay. So let's look at all the things we have studied so far, all the important graph theoretical concepts. We started with cycles, and we noticed that if you want a subspace, we need to look at all the even subgraphs of the graph. But the cycles actually generate the cycle space, which means the cycles generate all the even subgraphs, because the even subgraphs, they are exactly the cycle space of the graph. Okay? And now we are looking at cuts. So that is another subspace of the edge space. But the question, of course, arises, what are the cuts that generate this subspace? Are there some, so cycles are special kinds of even subgraphs, right? And they generate all the even subgraphs. So what about the case of cuts? Are there some special cuts that generate the entire subspace formed by the cuts of the graph? So what is it that we should write here?
cuts between one vertex and a remaining graph.
That is a good point. That is one answer to the question. So let's talk about this particular answer.
It could be non-empty minimal edge cuts.
Non-empty minimal edge cuts. That's another way of looking at it. Okay, so we have two answers at least, right? And that is the point of this question. It has multiple answers. So one answer is cuts corresponding to single vertices. Single vertices. And the second answer is non-empty minimal cuts. Okay, so let's talk about each of them one by one. So cuts corresponding to single vertices, what does this mean? So let's take a graph. Let's consider this graph. Okay, so if you look at any vertex, let's say V0, it has some edges incident to that vertex, right? So notice that partial of V0 as a set is exactly what we defined in our previous lectures as the edges incident at the vertex V0. Okay, these are the edges incident with vertex V0. Actually, I should not say edges, I should say links, because if there are loops, we will not take the loops. We want the other end to be outside of V0, right? So a loop will not be considered in the partial of V0. Okay, so partial of V0 is just these two edges. To remind you, links are non-loop
I think
edges.
by definition of edge cuts, a loop cannot be in partial of V0 because it has both
That's
endpoints
right.
in V0.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the point I'm trying to emphasize. Right, so a loop is actually not part of any cut. Okay, good. So these cuts corresponding to vertices, for example, if you look at this vertex V1, you will have three edges, 1, 2, and 3, right? These cuts are called trivial cuts. So for each vertex, V, partial of V is a cut, and such cuts are called trivial cuts. Okay? So you are right. Actually, the trivial cuts of a graph, they do generate the subspace we are talking about. So it is true. This might be on your assignment, I'm not sure. I'll put it as a try it yourself. The trivial cuts of a graph generate all cuts of the graph. What does that mean? For any cut of the graph, you can write it down as a symmetric difference of a bunch of trivial cuts. That is what it means for every cut to be generated by trivial cuts. Okay? But there is another possible answer, or at least one other possible answer. These are called the non-empty minimal cut. Okay. So let's think about cycles. The cycles are, there is one way to define cycles. These are the non-empty minimal even subgraphs of a graph. Why is this a correct definition? Notice that if you take any even subgraph, right, it can be written as a disjoint union of cycles. So if this is an even subgraph, this is the disjoint union of one cycle C1 plus another cycle C2. And each of C1 and C2 is an even subgraph contained in this even subgraph. So if this is your even subgraph J, then it contains C1 and C2, and both of these are even subgraphs. So J is not a minimal even subgraph of the graph. This implies that J is not a minimal even subgraph, because minimal means that it should not contain any smaller set with the same property. Okay, so this is an important concept in any combinatorics or discrete math course: minimal and maximal. So whenever you use the word minimal with respect to a certain property, it just means that it should not contain any proper subset which has the same property. Okay. However, if you look at a cycle, of a graph, you cannot find any even subgraph inside this except for the empty set, which is a trivial even subgraph. Okay. So cycles do not contain any other smaller even subgraphs except for the empty set. And that is why cycles are called non-empty minimal even subgraphs of a graph. So in the same way, there is a concept for cuts of a graph, the non-empty minimal cuts of a graph. These are called bonds. Bonds are the non-empty minimal cuts of a graph. Okay? We will see a characterization of this. You might say, well, how do I visualize these? We will see a very nice visualization of these in the next lecture. Okay? But the cool thing is, this is a valid definition of a bond, right? So this is one way to define it. And turns out that these ones generate the cuts, generate all the cuts of the graph. So the bonds of a graph generate all the cuts of the graph, and that is why this is called the bond space of the graph. Okay? So what I want you all to do is I want you all to think about a characterization of bonds. Is there a nice visual characterization of bonds? Also, when I say think, I want you to try it yourself. I'm not expecting you to get a concrete answer. I mean, try it yourself problems as more open-ended problems that you can think about before the next lecture, so that you feel that you are on top of the material, right? You are able to try examples and play with some examples yourself to get a feel for the subject. Okay? So the do-it-yourself problems are the ones where there are more concrete answers, right? So the try it yourself is just to get you more familiarized with the topic before we actually jump into it. Okay, so well, we are at 9:51, so that is the end of the lecture. Please ask any questions. Yeah.
So actually, bonds generate the set of all cards. The graph.
Yes. Yes.
So that's why we call the space of all cards as the bond space.
That's right. I mean, so since you're asking this question, in most sources, the bond space is actually called the cut space, and the cycle space is often called the cycle space, right? But people use terms differently. So I'm following Bondi and Murthy, and I think they have tried to be consistent. If you're going to call all the even subgraphs the cycle space, then I think it kind of makes sense to call all the cuts the bond space of the graph, because the bonds generate all the cuts. Okay, but in many sources these are called. Sorry, go ahead.
So basically, bond space are a synonymous term, card space, but cycle space we call it usually cycle space. We do not go to.
Some people use circuit space and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody calls it the even. I think people also call it the even subspace of the graph, but we will stick to these terms.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So basically, cycle space and bond space, they're orthogonal complement, we can say.
Right. So in one of the assignment, assignment one, I think you'll be proving that these are orthogonal complements of each other. Right? And everything on the assignment will be completely graph theoretical. So if anybody is worried about, oh, orthogonal complement is an algebraic concept, don't worry about it. All the proofs are expected are graph theoretical in nature. Right? So if you understand the graph theoretical interpretation of things, you should be able to do the assignments.
Can you please explain what the bond is again?
Right. So a formal definition of a bond is this one. It's a minimal cut. So it's a cut of the graph that does not contain any other cut. Right. So a non-empty cut that does not contain any other cut except for the empty set. Of course, it will contain the empty set. Every set contains the empty set. But apart from the empty set, it will not contain any other cut of the graph. So I'll give you an example. If I am not mistaken, actually, no, that's not true. So in this example that we looked at, all the trivial cuts, for example, they are bonds. You can see that inside any trivial cut, you are not able to find another cut of the graph.
So a bipartite graph has only one non-empty minimal cut, which is the vertex set.
Bipartite graph has exactly one.
So if you take a bipartite graph,
Yeah.
So the vertex cuts are those that are like every other cut other than the single vertex cuts can be represented as
Right. So that's, yeah, all cuts can be generated by the trivial cuts.
I have a question. So by non-empty minimal cut, we mean the cut must be a non-empty set of edges.
Right.
And it has no proper non-empty cut set.
That's right. Exactly.
And it has no proper non-empty cut set.
Exactly. I should probably say empty set and itself, right? So those are unavoidable. Every set will contain the empty set and itself, but it should not contain any other cut. That's what I'm trying to say.
So basically we are emphasizing the fact that it is a non-empty minimal cut. We are using the keyword non-empty because we know that the empty set is itself a cut. So
Right, the empty
that-
set itself is a minimal cut. So I want to throw that away because we don't need that to generate. Because if we have any, actually, let me think about this. If your graph is just the empty graph, yeah,
Sir, I think
So if-
because empty set is a cut, that's why we have to use the keyword non-empty minimal cut in the definition of bond.
right,
Otherwise, the empty set will be a bond.
yeah,
Empty set
That's
will be a
right.
bond.
yeah. So except for the empty graph, we don't need the empty set, right? So maybe in these statements, I should say that G is not an empty graph, because if the graph has no edges, then you need the empty set to generate the empty set, right? But that is a very trivial example. So in that case, we know that cycles generate the even subgraphs and bonds generate all the cuts. That will be proving. Yeah.
And also, sir, every trivial cut is also a bond, right?
Not necessarily. So that's another point you can think about. Are all trivial cuts? Actually, I'm not sure of the answer. Are all of them bonds?
I think K12 is an example.
Sorry, K
1, 2.
1, 2, like this?
Yes. So
Right.
if you take
Hmm.
so if you take the top right vertex, you get
Okay.
only one edge. So
Right.
that is a minimal cut. But if you
Uh-huh.
take only 0,
Yes.
that is not a minimal cut because it contains 1.
Exactly. You're right. So the answer is no.
So actually, in this case, the trivial cuts are smaller than the bonds, because if you want bonds, you need 2, right?
Right. So the bonds, yeah. So I think the only bonds are the empty,
Oh, okay, okay. But if you
this
want to
edge and
actually,
this edge. Right. These are the only bonds.
yes, yes, yes.
Just 0, 1 and 0, 2. And all the cuts of the graph can be generated by these two.
Basically, the sort of converse is true. Every bond is a trivial cut.
Nope. That is also not true. So no, so these two alternatives that you suggested, they are both actually different ways of generating the cuts.
No, but sir, this example is not clear to me. Why are all trivial cuts not necessarily bonds?
Right. So there is a trivial cut here, which is not a bond,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
Partial
trivial cut means
zero
cut.
is
Means
not a
trivial cut
bond.
means cut from the vertex 0.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
This is not a bond because it contains a smaller cut. This edge 0, 1. Because partial 0 is both the edges 0, 1 and 0, 2. And this contains 0, 1, which is a cut.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So trivial cuts and bonds are actually distinct concepts. Neither of them is a subset of the other in general. Then in specific examples, you might find that, but in general, they are different ways of generating all the cuts.
Okay, sir, got it, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, Manzil? I'll stop recording now.
But
Feel
sir,
free to
is
leave the
any
meeting.
bond a trivial cut?
Let me just stop recording. 1 second.